Right on the Money, brought to you by Tom Mosley and Mosley Wealth Management. I'm Rebecca Powers. So great to see you, Professor.
Good to see you, Rebecca.
So I've already put into place some of the many advice and suggestions that you have given me personally. The new year, we want to become fiscally fit. It's extremely important. You can save tens of thousands of dollars in the end of your life and your retirement if you take some very important, simple steps now. So let's talk about one of the big things last week, and we've talked about taxes and how you can do it much smarter. We all have to pay our taxes. Inflation is one of those other hidden things that we don't really have control over. So how do we curb the effects of inflation on our families?
Well, inflation was like the game at Chuck E. Cheese's. Sorry to give a promotion there, but the whack-a-mole, where they
Right.
raises its head every now and then, and you have to whack it, you know. And for 40 years, we've been without inflation. Now, I'm old enough, and a lot of you are too, to remember what's called in history, financial history at least, the Jimmy Carter days, where inflation was huge.
Horrible. I remember that as a small child. It was tough.
It was.
My parents.
I wasn't a child. And and I remember I bought my first house during the Jimmy Carter days in like 1978.
What was your interest rate? 15?
15.6.
Really? I was guessing.
But
Ours was 14. My mom complained about to the day she died. She complained about that Jimmy Carter.
But let me tell you this, though. They were so nice to me that I didn't have enough money to pay completely down on it. So I knew the person at the bank in Odessa, Texas, and so I got 15.6 on my regular loan, but they gave me a second loan to help me pay the down payment, and that was only 21.3%. So I literally...
How nice.
No, I paid on that house for like 5 or 6 years, and I paid it down like $1,800 total by the time I sold it. And it was during a time where the oil field was dead and there wasn't very many people buying houses, and so I sold it even for a loss at that. So the Jimmy Carter days, I mean, inflation robs, and you buy the same things. It was just a house, okay?
Right.
But you buy the same things, but it just cost more. Now, right now, depending on the numbers that are out, I mean, we've had inflation rates of 8.7, 9.3, 8.8, 8.1, 7.7, and now 7.1, and then who knows what it's going to be in the coming days. But let's say 7.5 to 8%. To round it, at 8% inflation, if you're in retirement and you've got a set budget that you're shooting for every single month, which you should, and that's not necessarily all you can spend, but that's your budget as to what you need for income, not to live a squeaky by life and squeaking by life, but to live a good, comfortable life in retirement. If it's at 8% interest, you use the rule of 72, and if you don't understand that, that's okay, but you divide 8 into 72, and that means that every 9 years, the price of everything would double if we stay at 8% inflation.
Wow.
So if you're going to live another 25 to 27 years, it's going to double once, double again, which is 4 times the amount now, and double again, which is 8 times the amount now. So it's humongous what inflation can do. And a lot of people, you may be listening to this and you say, well, inflation is going down and the Fed's trying to get it down. But in history, countries who, and I don't want to get political, but countries who have spent exorbitant amounts of money, like maybe 9.6 trillion in the last 4 years on stimulus packages. Countries that have done that historically, Japan, Europe, to be 2 recent examples in the past few decades, those areas have had what's called stagflation, where they have slow economic growth. It doesn't stop the growth of the economy, but the inflation is so high that it causes the economy to have to stay hot in order to provide for people, and people don't run out of money. Here's another way to look at 8% inflation. If you look at a 12-month year and you've got 12 months of income coming in, and you have 8% inflation, raise prices 8%, your income over that 12 month that you've been planning on will only go 11 months. So there's going to be a month that you're going to have to make up for, either in a higher budget or bringing more money out of your retirement savings. So inflation is, one of the problems that we've had with all of the stimulus packages, and if you're out there And please understand, some of the things that we spent money on going through, I hate to use the word, but an unprecedented time. How many times did you hear that? We've never had something like COVID, at least in my lifetime.
Sure.
And
so a lot of it was necessary, but it's put us in a pickle.
It's put us really behind, but trillions of dollars have been spent. And some of it is just, what's happened with inflation is when you have too many dollars. I are an MBA from Pepperdine, okay? And that's where I got my MBA in 1998. And a concentration in finance. And I remember taking a great professor, Dr. 𝗙𝗓𝗏. I don't know if he's still around or has graduated on to another life, but Dr. 𝗙𝗏 in economics always told us that inflation was caused by too many dollars chasing too few goods.
Right.
So it drives up the price. So if you stimulate an economy over $9 trillion over 4 years, and you then have a shortage, a supply chain shortage, or a supply chain shortage on manufacturing, then what you're creating is inflation. And it baffles me that some of the politicians are on to, I don't know why we have inflation. I didn't cause this. We didn't cause this. Well, it's a collective group, $1 trillion.
Yeah.
You know, if Rebecca, if you lived in Bethlehem and the day Jesus was born, I started bringing you $1 million, and I said, this is $1 million, don't worry about it, you'll know what it is later, it's US dollars, and you were to say, what's a US dollar? But every single day, I would bring you $1 million, and you just put it in your house, and then you had to build onto your house, because I said, as long as we stay alive, I'll bring you $1 million. Now, we know what $1 million is. If the day Jesus was born, I started that, until today, I had done that, and we had both stayed alive, you still wouldn't have $1 trillion. That's how big it is. I mean, we sent out a little, I do a bomb every Tuesday where I send out a message to all of our clients and our people that are on our mailing list, and we sent one out, and my marketing director misspelled trillion. And so one of my school teachers called in, and she said, Tom, I just want you to know that you misspelled trillion. And I said, Susanna, I want you to know too that it is so big, we don't even know how to spell it. I mean, that's how big it is, because it's humongous. Now, you say, where does that impact me? Well, if your financial plan, let's bring it down to you. If your financial plan is built on what most of the big box firms use, which is called the Monte Carlo model, if your financial plan is built on that, here's what it says. You're going to average 6% a year. How's that working this year?
Not.
Yeah, not in the market. You're going to have 3% inflation. Give me an update.
Not, more like 10 or worse.
Yeah, it's worse in some cases, because the things that retirees buy, like travel and airfare to go places, especially if you're in the go-go years, all of those things are about 30 to 35% inflated right now. So it might be that your inflation rate, your personal inflation rate, is much higher. But if you're still floating along with a Monte Carlo model that's worked for the last 13 years, because from 2009 until last year, the market just went up, 13 years, almost unprecedented, when it never had a real correction. And if you're operating under a Monte Carlo model that says inflation's going to be 3%, and for 40 years it's averaged less than 3%, you're fine until along comes an 8% year. So it's like everything. It works until it doesn't work. Right. And it's worked so well, but now it's not working. So you likely need, because of inflation, you need to have a checkup. You need to have somebody, and even if you're working with somebody else and you say, well, why hasn't my financial advisor called? Because many times you don't call somebody if you don't have any answers. Or good news. Or good news, and it's just hang on, it'll come back, or it's just a paper loss, or you're not selling it now, are you? So you haven't really lost anything if you don't sell it. But what if you're drawing out of it every single month? Maybe you need to come in and take advantage of one of the opportunities we offer people who watch this telecast every single week. We offer you an opportunity to call in and to get on one of our advisors' schedules. Now, our advisors are phenomenal. They do a great job, and their goal is our company goal. We work with pleasant people to make sure they don't run out of income the rest of their life and they pay as little as they're legally required to pay in taxes. And inflation can definitely impact the income you're going to get for the rest of your life if you just continue to have a plan that worked for a while, but now it's not working. Look at your statements. Is your plan working? If your plan's not working and you're not adjusting to do something about it, give us a call, 866-709-1462. You have to take responsibility for yourself. You have to raise your hand. You have to call us, 866-709-1462.
That's right. If you don't have a plan, and as Tom said, even if you have a financial advisor, why aren't they having these conversations with you? A statement is not a plan. So that is the first step. 866-709-1462. We'll be right back.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have. By running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review today.
All right, welcome back to Right on the Money. We're talking about the hidden killer to your money, and that is inflation. So we give the facts, obviously not meant to scare anyone or upset you, but here's the hopeful part. There are things that you can do to kind of make yourself a little more insulated.
Absolutely. There are ways that you should be able to react. I love the philosopher and noted intellectual Mike Tyson, who said that everybody's got a plan against, he was talking about when they box against him, until they get busted in the mouth. Okay, so if you're operating under the old traditional big box Monte Carlo model that 6% a year, like we talked about, 3% inflation, your plan just got hit in the mouth.
That's right.
So,
no, busted.
Busted in the mouth.
I love Mike Tyson.
That's right.
And look, and I will say, big box retailers, if you know one of those big names, you know who we're talking about, 5 or 6 of them, that is the Monte Carlo model. That they are still using this antiquated model.
In most cases, they are. There's some great people in those, and I have some friends who are in there.
Of course.
But they're following a model that they're married to, and they've sold for so long, and so therefore it's hard to start selling something different. But things change. Let's talk about some of the things that's changed for you because of inflation. Well, if you're still sitting there with a plan that hasn't adjusted, your advisor needs to be asking you if they're really building a financial plan and they're not just using a model that somebody sold them on from the home office. If they're really building a plan for you, a few shows ago, we talked about income. And income is the most important thing in retirement. And because when you go to buy eggs, because when you go to buy meat, because when you go to the pump to buy gasoline, your plan has changed even if you haven't changed, because the income need that you have to keep paying the bills of the things that are just there in life, that's changed. I mean, it's a moving target. It's never a static. Right. But one of the things that we do as a company, we've talked about on this show, we walk with our people through retirement. We're not just interested in selling you something, but we're interested in building a plan and then co-piloting that plan with you through the years. Well, one of the things that you come in for, what we call our evaluate situations, and that's where we make course adjustments, or we alter the flight pattern, you might say, so that we make sure and hit the destination. Well, if I'm leaving Southern California and I'm flying to Dallas, and all of a sudden I hit, when I get over the Colorado River or over Phoenix, the upper air, it starts blowing 100 miles an hour in a different direction than what I was planning on it blowing. I've got to make an alteration, because if not, it's going to blow me off course.
Right.
And I don't want to land in Waco or Austin. I want to land in Dallas. I want to get to my target. So you may need to have a reevaluation of what it's taking you for income. We've got at Mosley Wealth Management, it is so simple, but it's a budget sheet that just lets you walk through all of the things you need. And you know how you eat an elephant? You eat it one
bite at a time.
So you grab that thing and you see all kind of lines. I use it with all my classes that I teach live with the seminars. And by the way, if you want to take advantage of some of our classes, you can go to our website, www.mosleywealthmanagement, and it's got a little tab up there that says seminars. It's also got podcasts where we teach on all kind of different things. I think there's 60 or 70 podcasts on there. But you can go to seminars and pull that down, and it'll show you where we're having a live seminar, maybe in your area, in the next 6 weeks or maybe 2 months. But in all of those live classes, it all starts with how much money you need. And so we have them go through that budget. And your budget's different than mine.
That's right.
Okay. I have to use a lot of makeup. You don't. Okay. If you understand what I'm saying, to look good.
Great, huh? I mean.
And so everybody's got different things. And that's life. That's you. That's who you are. So your budget is yours. So you just take it a line at a time. And I tell people, you know, if it gets taxing after 5 or 6 lines on that thing, then go watch a show of Rifleman, or go watch, you know, The Fugitive, or Channel 607. I watch it all the time, all right?
Just say Netflix. It makes you sound more modern.
Yeah,
just say that.
I don't know. My kids know Netflix, okay? But your income has probably changed because it's been blown off course.
Yeah.
And so you need to do a readjustment, because what you may be doing is you may have a steady flow of income coming that met your needs last year, but you may need to adjust that. And if you adjust that, you're going to maybe have to take more money out of something. And so therefore, you're going to have to talk to somebody who's not just going to say, oh yeah, we can take more money because there's more money there now.
Right.
But you want to work with somebody who's going to say, yeah, we can take more money now, but it's going to make this kind of alteration needed later on. Or you've got enough for later on. It's like the lady who told me recently, she said, when I'm 85, I'm not going to be worried about going to Venice, Italy. When I'm 85, I want to make sure I have enough income to go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're looking at. We're looking at you right now, but we're looking at making sure we build a plan, which may be different than just trying to get you the most we possibly can this year. We're looking at building a plan that you're going to be around next year, and you're going to be around the next year all the way till you're 85 or 90 or 95. I recently had a couple in my office who were in their lower 70s, and they had to hurry out of the appointment to go take care of his 94 and 91-year-old father and mother.
So they need a lot of money, because they're probably going to have that longevity risk.
Longevity risk. The longer you live, it's actually a risk to your portfolio if you don't take care of it. So ups and downs of the market. Ups and downs of the market. Now, if you're still working, just a little snippet here. If you haven't retired yet, but you're close to retiring, I say this on at least every other show, this is probably a good time to start dumping as much as you can into a 401k or your retirement plans, because you're still buying low. You're still buying lower than where the Dow Jones, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ were 2 years ago. So continue to pour into those retirement plans now, because you're buying cheaper. You're buying cheaper property that's going to come out. And as the market grows back, you're going to be super. Hey, you need a plan for you. You need an income number target for you. If you don't have a target, you'll hit it every time. Nothing. But if you have a target, you'll know what you need to look at. Give us a call. Our number is 866-709-1462. Set up an appointment with one of our advisors. I have trained all of our advisors to go through the same process. In fact, every Monday we sit down with all of our advisors and we review every single person. So whether I ever see you or not, or it's one of our advisors that sees you, you're getting this same philosophy that we talk about on this TV program, you're getting that from your advisor, whether it's in San Diego or Glendale or Chino or Anaheim. You're getting the same program, but it's in, you say, well, is it cookie cutter? It is the way we go through the program, but it is totally unique to you and your situation. Give us a call.
It's definitely a holistic approach for you individually because, of course, everyone is different. There's a number, 866-709-1462. If you want to just go to our landing page and set up your appointment, pick your date. You can also use that QR code. Just aim your phone camera right at it and stay with us. More after this.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back to Right on the Money. We're talking about how you can retire beautifully and have money to the end of your life. Tom, of course, I always read articles and I think of you and I want to ask you about them. During this past holiday, just last month, you had FedEx laying off record numbers. You had Amazon laying off record numbers. And 90% of the CEOs of the Fortune 500 companies all said they expect the same for them. What in the world would you do if you're getting close to retirement in that red zone, you call it, and got laid off?
Life happens, doesn't it?
Right. So you have to be prepared.
Yeah. And you know what happens in a recession? Historically, if you are one of those really weird people who read a lot about historical recessions because you're managing hundreds of millions of dollars of people's money, if you're out there and you're like that, you're like me. So you read a lot of stuff about it. And unfortunately, companies and even the stock market starts doing better at the beginning of a recession generally and then grows out of it and helps the company grow out of it. Because what does a company have the ability to do? They have the ability to do the same thing I encourage you to do. You know, don't have any extra expenditures.
Yeah.
And sometimes, unfortunately, companies look at you as an employee as an extra expenditure. And you have, particularly if you're older, because your benefits cost more than the younger kids' benefits, and they'll never tell you that. That's against the law.
Right, but
that's
it's true.
That's the way it happens.
Yeah.
And if you look back just recently in our history, even at the stock market, from, and I, you know, who knows where it is now and where it'll go, but from the beginning of October until the middle of December, the Dow Jones, which when people talk about the market being up or down, they usually talk about the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones hit an increase of 25%. And we're talking about gloom, doom, inflation, boy, the market, I'm scared, because they hear that on the news.
Right.
And so what happens is, but the Dow Jones has already rebounded from the end of September, 1st of October to the middle of December, 25%. So it's bounced from 28,000 to 33, 34, 35,000. So big bounce in the market. Could be down by the time you see this program. But here's the point. Here's the point. It doesn't matter whether the companies are doing well. It really doesn't matter even whether the stock market turns around. What matters to you and your table is, do I have a job? Now, if you find yourself without a job, my best advice to you is not panic. They haven't killed you, okay, as the old saying. They can't kill you, or maybe they'll try, but they won't kill you. So what you need to do is just stop, and if anybody ever needed a total financial just overview, analysis, a financial physical, if you might call it,
Yes,
where you
it's
put
now.
all of your stuff. Because a lot of people I'm seeing in my office right now that are responding to this TV program and they have been laid off, they've got enough money to retire. Now, generally, I always say it this way. If you keep working another 2 years, if you go find another job another 4 years, it's going to put more grease on the machine and make it run smoother. Because the more you save and the more you put away, generally the better you are, particularly for the end of the years when you're in your 80s and 90s. But most people have enough that if you're forced out the door, you at least need to find out the answer to the question, can we afford to go ahead and retire? Do I need to retrain in another industry, or do I need to break a new boss in, you know, and just go find somebody else and find a place to work? You've got a 401k in many cases that's now dormant that allows you to do some things with. You can move it around if you're over 59 and a half. If you're under 59 and a half, you can move that 401k around to better investment options that fit your particular situation. So before you get upset, it's like, consider getting the layoff as maybe having a bad chest pain.
Yeah.
So what would you do? Go to the doctor. Find out what's going on. You got laid off. That's a bad economic chest pain. Come see a financial advisor who, for 27 years, our organization has helped people in getting ready and getting in retirement to make sure they never run out of money and they pay as little as they can in taxes. So you want to make sure now to get a checkup to make sure you're on track so that you know the decisions that you can make. I mean, some of you say, well, I have to go back to work. Maybe not. Or you might maybe in some cases say, I don't have to go to work, but back to work, but maybe you do. But you need to come get a checkup from a professional who's gone through this with hundreds of other people. And come in, call us, 866-709-1462. If you're in that situation, you're one of these thousands, the numbers, but you're a person. And if you've been laid off, give us a call, set up an appointment, come in and see one of our advisors, and we will do everything we can to give you advice based on your changed situation, because it's different now than it was when you were employed.
Absolutely, and you are different from anyone else, so that's why it is a holistic approach with the fiduciaries at Mosley Wealth Management. Thanks so much for joining us. Keep those emails and letters coming in. We love you. We'll see you next time.